Okay, I started this whole post with a claim that the federal government is really an attack on our real estate market. And I'm going to give you three different examples, three different industries that your federal government, when you pay your federal tax dollars, is actually making it harder to do business to the point of, I think, disrupting and or destroying the industry. Number one is evictions. Now, when I talk about evictions, most people think of deadbeats not paying rent because that's by far the biggest problem. I'm sure there are a few people who have bad landlords, a few, but by and large nowadays, I don't hear that as a real estate agent as often, 10% of the time maybe. But we have our deadbeat tenants. And so in the past, if you ever went to eviction court in Los Angeles, you would see numerous nonprofit organizations offering free legal services to prospective tenants. They actually would call people in the hallway, hey, do you have an attorney? Do you have an attorney? And so there was nobody in my experience who ever went to the court, who responded to their summons, who could not have gotten free legal help as a tenant, whether they were worthy or not, whether they were deadbeats or not, they could have gotten free legal care, legal services. However, the party in power, the Los Angeles politicians, primarily Democrats, see those nonprofits as their political allies. And so what they're now doing is raising money, tax dollars to pay those people. And so have those people in turn do work for their politicians of favor instead. And so here's an example of the federal government now doing this nationwide. HUD is making $40 million available. It says to prevent evictions, but what the money is to legal services. And again, there's no claim anywhere in this that tenants don't have access to legal services for free today, because it's just simply not true in almost all of the United States. I'm sure there are places that's not true, but in major cities, the nonprofit legal services are operatives of the local politicians. And so all this is a way to use tax dollars. And again, this goes back to inflation, programs we don't need or want. This is just taking tax dollars and paying the political friends of the federal government to do the work that they otherwise can't. So there you have step one in the government attacking our real estate industry. So number two, I found this one fascinating. The Appraisal Foundation had a lawsuit from Housing and Urban Development. And what this says is that HUD decided that becoming an appraiser somehow required one to overcome discrimination. Now, I will say that I've known appraisers of all colors of skin and nationalities my entire career here in Los Angeles. And I don't get too, I know a black person on you, but I've known several appraisers of every type of color, skin, race, or whatever. The funny thing about it is to get your license, you go through the state government. You don't go through a company. Yes, you can get hired by a company, but to get your license, it's the state of California. So to get your license, if there's a barrier of entry because of race, that would be indictment of the state of California, which should be indicted. But I don't think you could say that the state discriminates against anybody for race, creed, color, or sex in giving out licenses for appraisers. And then when it comes to the work appraisers, in my experience, whenever you order an appraiser, all you get at most is a list, company name, maybe the appraiser and their license number, phone number and email, maybe an address. You never get a picture. You never get the race. I don't know how you would possibly discriminate against an appraiser on the race, creed, color, or sex. If you wanted to. I've been in this business 38 years. I was a lender for a good part of my year. I've hired thousands of appraisals in my career. I literally couldn't tell you how we could discriminate against a company if we wanted to. And yet here you have the federal government and they're beating their chest. And I just want to kind of read some of the highlights because there's nothing like a government bureaucrat when they extort money from taxpayers. She said, today's historic agreement, it's historic. You never heard of it till my article, but it's historic. We'll build a class of appraisers based on what they know instead of who they know. What they're doing is they're establishing this money into a fund that they're going to give out to their preferred schools. And this is a way, again, the government uses its power to pay political friends. And they're going to put money in certain schools, and then the schools will give scholarships to those politicians' kids and friends and whatever. So the whole thing is just one hand washing the other. But here you have HUD Acting Secretary Adrian Todman saying the historic agreement is going to help people and will be one step closer to rooting out discrimination in housing and opening doors to opportunity. How? What does that do? You're going to give money to your selected group of people based on color. Now, you could have, for example, the daughter of an African-American billionaire is going to qualify for this money, right? People like Kamala Harris, whose parents were both professors at major colleges, would qualify for this money. So how does this possibly help eliminate discrimination? Nobody says, there's no proof. Nobody really cares because everybody in the story is getting paid. The appraisers were being threatened with being destroyed by the federal government, so they're glad to settle for whatever they can. They cried uncle, and they're writing a big fat check, and then the government employees get to distribute the money as though, kind of like criminals after robbing a house. They get together and they send the money out. So there you have the eviction money with HUD. Second, we have the appraisal shakedown. And the third one is, I've talked about this one before, but this one's particularly troubling the way it's being presented, I think, at least to me, by the Wall Street Journal. The DOJ asked, does a landmark real estate settlement go far enough? Now, this settlement literally is upending the entire real estate industry. Every single residential sale from here forward, once they figure out what the settlement means, is going to be changed effectively. One lawsuit in one city, St. Louis, with one judge, one jury, and one attorney got a class of people to represent America and say, we want to restructure the way real estate's done. And it's disrupting the entire industry, forcing major corporations, they're losing money, to offer money because they can't afford to fight the federal government and the class action lawsuit. And now the Department of Justice is saying, well, that's not enough. The fact that they lost a lawsuit to private parties is enough. We want to get involved. So you have Department of Justice, who has no knowledge of real estate, no experience in real estate. They're just attorneys out for blood. They're political operatives who want to extract power to give it to their preferred parties in this destruction. And so here's the Wall Street Journal, which used to be a pro-business article, but pay attention. The Wall Street Journal has also become a propaganda arm for the federal government. The Wall Street Journal news section reported that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, which we know now is not true. And they never retracted it as a news organization. They're just basically another propaganda arm of the federal government. And so they're making this article as though the DOJ, how else can we destroy real estate? What else can we do? The entire industry is reeling from this court decision. In California, the California Association of Realtors, we've put hundreds of hours into understanding the lawsuit, recreating forms and contracts so we can present to our customers, buyers and sellers, protect them, protect ourselves, do business. And this filing by the DOJ came out right before the documents were set to be updated and stopped everything. Because everybody's scared of being sued by the federal government, and rightly so. You have an out-of-control federal government suing everybody to put its 2 cents in on every single situation. And as a result of uncertainty and delays and wasted money on legal fees and wasted money on trying to understand what the federal government's doing, everybody loses. In an already difficult real estate market, your federal government is making it way, way worse. Probably like a lot of things, but particularly in real estate. And it makes you wonder, why is the government at every angle destroying private enterprise and making it harder to buy houses? And you have to answer that question. If you have the answer, tell me, reply, put a comment down below. If you like this, like it. If you don't, put down the down thumb, subscribe if you want more. I'm at LAProbate on social media. Thank you so much for your time and support. Make today your best day ever.